1580 103.3 WPKY. Good morning. Coffee Talk on the air at 8:11. Gorgeous sunshine today.
Finally. Beautiful.
They had said that it was going to be partly cloudy this morning and the sunshine wasn't really going to peek through till this afternoon. But thank you. I am so glad they were maybe a little not so right this morning.
Early.
Hey, look at that. It's gorgeous. I love to see the blue skies first thing in the morning to kick off the weekend. And you know what it would be a fantastic weekend for? Don't get wait a minute. Wait. We can't forget. We have to say good morning to everyone at the City County Pool. Don't forget, we still got that contest going on, so we're going to let you know who picked up that pass here in just a few minutes.
Yeah,
but first, no, we're not going to forget that. We haven't forgot about you. Mr. Hank is here with Tradewater
Canoe and Kayak.
I can't think this
Hank
morning.
Mills is here. Yeah, with Tradewater,
I just talked
Canoe
to him yesterday. We were talking, and since it's Canoe Week, we thought that it would be fitting to have him come in and talk to us about that. How are you this morning, sir?
Doing great. You're right. The weather's perfect.
Well, I had also heard that you might know a little bit about river conditions and all kinds of stuff over there, right? That's kind of your job.
It is. Keep up with it. The Tradewater's actually about a foot higher than normal for the weekend. It's got good flow. It's actually going to be a good weekend to be on the river.
See, that's what I've been saying all day. It's nice that somebody.
I'm going to call you out on that. Snakes.
Well, okay.
I'm going to call you out on. You said it was a good time to be on the river, but I'm going to
just embarrass me when we have company. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, but really, you've actually kayaked and canoed this thing from Dawson all the way to the Ohio River, so you know the conditions.
Have you really?
I did last year, and the snakes thing is an urban legend. In my time on the Tradewater, if I've seen 5 or 6 snakes a year, that's a bunch, and I'm out there almost 2 to 3 times a week.
I'm going to admit I see that many on Kentucky Lake every time I go there.
Maybe St. Patrick has kayaked down the Tradewater River.
Well, if you're kayaking, you want the water to be moving, and snakes, they don't like to get into the moving water all that much, and if the water's not moving, it ain't worth. You might as well do a kayak in a pond.
If you're like me, you kind of stayed away from the Tradewater a little bit in the past because of that. So I love that. I like being wrong every once in a while. That's one of those things I like being wrong about.
Well, tell us about those conditions, those that have the urban legends and those myths that are out there about the Tradewater River, because it's quite nice, isn't it?
Well, it is, and it's. I ran on the 7 miles above the mill dam there in Dawson Springs. Believe it or not, the mill dam is 200 years old this year.
Oh, wow.
It was built in 1819, and the mill actually was in service up until the 1930s. So that was one business that run for over 100 years in town that nobody even realizes.
Pretty impressive. And the mill site, is that the dam there near Tradewater Park? Is that where that was? Or where was the mill site?
Yeah, the mill is still there.
Okay. Okay.
Or the mill's not still there.
Right.
The dam's right there.
Right.
The mill was built right next to it.
And it's beautiful. It is. If you haven't seen it, it's beautiful.
Yeah, water's really flowing over it today pretty good.
Well, and the one thing I love, when I was looking, I was doing a little snooping. Mm-hmm. I was snooping your pictures. That what do they call it? That's not stalking, right? Maybe it is. I don't know. But anyway, I was snooping. You've got some of the prettiest landscape pictures on there where you're going down the river, and it's the bluffs, and it's the shade, and it's the different. It looks like paradise.
It's not bad. I tell you what, the Tradewater up above Dawson runs through the Pennyroyal Forest, and it is very dense foliage. This time of year, it's almost like a rainforest up there. It's beautiful. It's the whole trip can be shaded. I highly recommend it, not just because I do this, but it's a good trip. And in Western Kentucky, you don't find a lot of really good places. It's probably the Tradewater and the Little River down in Katie's area, and then you have a hard time finding moving water in the river.
Oh, we talk about staycations a lot. Where we've got so many things in our area, and this is a good example of those that are kind of hidden gems in a way that I would love to take my kids on. And kayaking has become a lot more popular these days, correct?
It has. My business over the last 7 years, when I first went into business, I had basically canoes, and nobody had their own boats. Now, when you can go to Walmart and actually pick up a decent boat, or Dick's Sporting Goods or Academy Sports. They're quality boats for around here, and I had to change my business a little bit, and I charge $10 to ferry somebody else's boat. But for one thing, once you buy the boat, you don't have to put gas in it, so it's cheap once you make the initial investment. But you can always rent boats from me too.
I was going to ask, tell us a little bit about Tradewater Canoe and Kayak and what exactly you do and where you're located up there in Dawson Springs on the river.
We're located on Highway 109 going out of town towards Pennyroyal Park on the south end of town. And I rent a 5-mile trip, which is very much back to a natural river up above me. I'll drop you off at McKnight Road and you come back to my canoe shack. That's 5 miles, usually takes about 3 hours, and it brings you across the Dripping Springs area. Then it also brings you a place called the Far Bluffs, and it's the highest bluff line on the Tradewater River.
Oh, wow.
From all the way to the end of it.
Goodness gracious. Now, is that in Hopkins County or is it in Christian County?
It starts in Christian County and then it ends in Hopkins County. It kind of skirts the line there for a little while.
So
you said it's 5 miles. Now, is that something that what kind of athleticism is it something that Ty and I can either, the kids can do and, everyone can get involved in?
It depends on the kids. Now, some can, some can't. You can always put them in your own boat because, 2 to 3 people can fit in a canoe. And I've got several kayaks that are 2 to 3 person kayaks, especially.
Oh, yeah, I'm not riding in the same kayak with him.
But if you've got smaller children, I've also got a 2-mile trip that starts at my canoe place and goes to the mill dam. And the water is a lot deeper there because it's backed up behind the dam,
right.
And it's a lot wider, and it's only going to take you about an hour, 15, 20 minutes. So if you've got 2 to 3-year-olds, they're not going to get bored and get antsy. They're going to stay actually into it the whole trip, and you're not going so long that they're just going to get wore out. If you've got a 6, 7 years old, they can paddle that whole way. 2-mile trip, they can paddle the whole way. It's not going to wear them out also.
And that's something to kind of introduce them to. I know that, no pun intended, but kind of get their feet wet a little bit, into kayaking when they're young on a smaller trip like that. And then once they get older, they can progress in it, right?
Yeah, a lot of times I actually advise people to do that. Go ahead and take that shorter trip to make sure you're going to like it before you go on a longer trip.
I promise you they're going to come back again a million times over. Because I am so excited. That's something I want to take my kids on. We've only done the canoe thing one time, and that was something that was so much fun because you're right down there in the Pennyroyal where if you're camping, maybe if you're at you bring your horse down to camp for the weekend, you're looking for something to do to cool off in the water for a little while and get off the trails. That would be an excellent thing to do because a lot of people say, "Well, I don't have time for it. We're doing other things." But there's always time for that, and it's a nice break and something to do, right?
Well, the Pennyroyal Park has really taken off in the last couple of years. They've redone their beach out there, and it's when you get rated in Facebook as the best beach in the state of Kentucky, like they were last year. It brings people out on the weekends. It's not uncommon for them to see 1,000 people.
Oh, wow.
On the beach on a weekend, and I am a benefit. I benefit from overflow people and people coming back into town. It's just too crowded. They'll decide to come back and go down the river with me.
Now, Hank, you also do some guided hikes along the Pennyroyal Nature Trail as well, don't you?
Me and some of my fellow Knights of Columbus, we do guided hikes twice a year on the Pennyroyal Nature Trail. We do one on Good Friday, and then we try to do one towards the end of October, 1st of November. In the fall, it'll be on a Saturday. We haven't set the date for it yet. But Pennyroyal Nature Trail is a 14-mile trail. It starts there at the canoe shack, actually, right there where I rent canoes. And it ends at the Pennyroyal State Park at the lodge. And in western Kentucky, I can't think of a better trail to hike. It's not easy. It's a moderate hike. It would have to be classified as a moderate hike because once you leave, all your water, everything else that you are going to need on that hike, you're going to have to bring with you.
Right.
But that's the adventure of it, really. And it's a guided tour. You all don't just throw us out there in the middle of nowhere and say, okay, have fun. No, I mean, you're right there with them, right?
Well, on the guided hikes, that's the whole point is, a lot
Right.
of people don't want to tackle something like that by themselves the first time. But then, that trail gets a lot of use all year long. People just coming up and parking at one end and hiking it out. And it's
No, I love that because I'd get lost in a wet paper bag.
And it's,
I really
and
would.
it's marked pretty well. I've done 2 or 3 miles of it, but I've started at the Canoe Shack and been about 2 or 3 miles down and then back.
Gorgeous.
So yeah, it's gorgeous, but it's marked pretty well. The trail is you can look through the woods and see where the trail's going, and then you have some arrows that kind of guide your way. But it is, would agree with Hank. It's moderate because you have some elevation up and down, but boy. The scenes are absolutely fantastic. The aesthetics of that trail beautiful.
But again, with the weekend and the weather the way that it is, you can't spend a weekend better served than being out on the trails or the kayaks. I mean, that is just, it's gorgeous and it's right here in our backyard. And we appreciate you doing that because it's something that I probably wouldn't tackle on my own unless I had somebody like you to help me out because I've never been a boat person where I really know a lot about it. So.
Well, this is what I'm going to say about the Penny Isle Nature Trail. It's a 3-season trail for myself. We were talking about snakes a while ago. Mm-hmm. Snakes don't bother me. And the ticks actually do bother me.
I knew you were going there, and I was going to go there if you weren't.
And, to keep the ticks off of you, you're going to have to wear long sleeves and long pants during the summer, and then it gets hot.
Right.
But you can juice up, put the
tick repellent,
the repellent and stuff on there, and still do it. But my favorite time to do it is in the early spring and in the late fall, whenever the leaves are turning. It is gorgeous, but there isn't any place flat on it. You're either going up a hill or you're coming down a hill. That's
I like
the
the
way
down.
of it. But I get a lot of help from the jail crew. Over in Hopkins County, they come through twice a year and they clean it up, and they do an excellent job.
Well, that's nice help, isn't it?
Oh, it
is.
Get
that down and make sure that there aren't trees falling over the trail and just whatever. Make it nice and clean for folks. That's a big deal. Now, shifting gears a little bit about some of the activities that you have up there. There's a really cool event, and it's in its 8th year, and it's called the Tradewater River Fitness Challenge. And tell us about that, because that is really a neat event that's been going on and for several years now.
Yeah, this is our 8th year, and again, it's myself and Knights of Columbus local chapter helped put it on. I guess when Dawson Springs went to get their Trail Town designation, this has been 8 or 9 years ago. They were looking for an event that would shine a spotlight on what we actually have there, and the Tradewater River is what you've got. And I thought, well, it would be pretty nice to have a triathlon. And I've looked elsewhere in the state, and no place at that time had a triathlon where you were actually paddling instead of swimming.
Oh, wow.
And
That's neat.
I was like, well, we'll just put in a paddle, what they call a mini Ironman. And it's a 4K run, but it's straight up Hospital Hill and straight down. I ain't gonna lie to you. If you're looking for some place flat to ride a bike or do this race, you're not gonna find it there. You're either going up or down. Anyways, it's a 4K, and then it's a 2-mile paddle down the Tradewater, and then it's a 17-mile bike ride that circles through town and takes you back out in the Penny Isle Forest and back. It's all paved except the water, of course, and I get an awful lot of repeat customers.
Right.
People enjoy the event, and we usually serve some of the best barbecue you're going to get at the end of it.
I'm in.
Well, the
I'm
night,
not joining in. I'm going to watch and eat the barbecue.
the Knights of Columbus in Dawson Springs, and this council that is known for their barbecue. I don't know if they're doing the barbecue for your event, but how many competitors have you had? I know this thing has been going on for 8 years. You got a lot of the repeat customers. About how many participate in your event?
Well, it all depends on the weather, but normally we'll have 35. We've had as many as 45. I've got one man, and he's actually helped me set the course up the first time. Y'all probably know him, Jim Hillerick.
Yes.
He has done it every single year. And
There's an Iron Man for you.
Oh,
he is.
yes.
He's a beast. He's a beast. He's he wears whatever his age is. It's his number. And when the first year we done it, he was 62. So this year he will be number 71. And
Wow.
for 71 years old, yeah, he'll run circles around me.
Oh yeah, you'll still see him out there training too. He's out there running. I'll see him every once in a while running down a road somewhere. And
Oh, sure, he still does marathons.
Yeah, and he is something else. So I'm not surprised at all with that name in your event, and of course, Knights of Columbus as well.
Yep. As I said, Jim and I laid the course out the first year, and we usually go out and get everything ready the week before the race. You know, he's still all about it.
And this is a neat thing, even if you're not in the race, you know, for people to attend. I mean,
Oh yeah,
this is a neat
and
thing.
you don't have to do the whole race either. A lot of people, myself included, if I'd done it this year, I would probably skip the running part because my knees just don't hold up to that anymore.
Right.
And I would do the paddling, I'd do the bike ride. And you're welcome to do either one event, all 3 events, or 2 events, or you're also able to do it in a relay if you've got a couple of buddies that want to come do it with you.
And this benefits, of course, several things at the Knights of Columbus. This is a fundraiser, basically, for the Knights of Columbus, and a lot of this funding goes right back into the community, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is the fundraiser we usually do for the community. We try to help out the Special Olympics every year, and then also Bright Life Farms. That's here in Caldwell County.
My son's a member of Special Olympics, so we appreciate that very much.
Well, I tell you, we try to help them out, and then every year we pick a project to help out some of the youth in Dawson Springs. In years past, we've helped put the crank-up goals up at the gym. We bought an automatic defibrillator to put at the gym the first year that we had it, just because, you know, they don't have one and they're a lifesaver. We've helped help with a new scoreboard there. We've also helped with last year we put infield dirt on the softball field, and then the Little League baseball field in town. We also bought new bases. So every year we try to figure out, you know, something that can be done for the community with a little extra money and, you know, hard work. And that's kind of what the Knights are about.
Well, it sounds to me like it. You know, you're having fun. You're going to have a good time with the kids and with the family, but it goes for a good cause as well. Actually, causes, I guess is what I should say. So you can't really go wrong with that, and get back to nature at the same time.
What is the date of the event and the entry fee?
We have it. It's every year. It is the Saturday before Labor Day. This year, it's as early as it's ever been. It's actually going to be August 30th.
Wow.
Single events are $30 per event. The whole race is $70. I'll have forms out probably by the end of this week, depending on my work schedules, when I get a couple extra days where I can go out and get the forms out and stuff. But I'll have some, and I'll actually drop some off here also.
We'd love to have
some. Planners Bank in Dawson Springs will have forms. The YMCA in Madisonville will have forms. The City Building in Dawson, they'll have some forms out to Penny Ryle State Park. And I said I'll drop some forms off here also.
That would be wonderful. And also the great barbecue and those type of events that'll be that coincide with this. Where will folks be able to grab the barbecue, and if they want to watch along the way and just hang out for a really nice day, where does that take place?
It actually, the event, the staging area for everything is set up at the Tradewater Canoe and Kayaks in that park, right there in the parking lot. We usually shut down for that morning, and we donate all of our boats to the race, and we bring the barbecue there. So far, we haven't charged anybody for the barbecue. It's just all the participants, if we're going to do something like that, the least we can do is barbecue a couple of Boston butts and chip it up and,
They want to fuel up, too, won't they? Either be there after
So,
or before.
so what if I were to enter just so that I could eat the barbecue, but I didn't really want to run.
Yeah.
I just wanted the barbecue.
Well, then what you instead of running, just do the paddle part of it.
Hey,
There you go.
And
I'm in.
find somebody you really don't like to ride a bicycle up and down hills for 17 miles, and there you go.
There you
You've
go.
got a
You
team.
got it.
I'll bring Ty. Just don't tell him.
Old Ty's been
We'll surprise him.
lacking in shape, getting
What?
into shape.
It's a secret. Are you kidding me? No, I would love to do that. I think that sounds like so much fun, and I want to bring my kids out and have a good time and do it just on the weekend or something. This weekend would be gorgeous. Now, are you open all week long, or is it just a weekend thing?
I'm open just the weekends with Tradewater Canoe and Kayak because honestly, I've got a real job.
Yeah.
But this coming week we'll be open all week because it's a holiday week.
Right.
And we've got people wanting to go throughout the week for the 4th of July. So
Is it something we need to make a reservation for, or can we just show up and go? Or
during the week I'm always open by appointment because I work half nights, half days, and the kids that work for me also can come down and put somebody down the river if we've got enough, if you give us a few days to where we can plan it. But on the weekend, normally, unless you've got a large group, you show up and I can get you on the river pretty quick.
what are the times?
We open at 9 o'clock on Saturdays. We open at noon on Sunday to give everybody a chance to get to church.
Okay, and what's the cutoff? When do no more boats go out?
It depends on the trip. If you're going to do the 5-mile trip, usually I stop renting it about 3 in the afternoon. The 2-mile trip, I'll put you on up until about an hour before we close, which is 5 o'clock.
Okay. Well, that sounds wonderful. And like I said, you're going to see me because I'm going to have a good time with it. I am.
Well, come on out.
Yeah.
And do they need to bring anything with them? Life vest, water bottles? What do they need to bring with them before they jump in the kayak?
Well, everything that you need, I supply. Now, if you've got a life jacket that you're comfortable with, by all means, go ahead and bring it. But, I supply the boats. I supply the life jackets. I supply bottled water because the first year I opened, I thought, I would sell drinks and stuff. But it's more important for somebody to remain hydrated. And bottled water, $3 a case, it don't hurt you one way or another. And tell you the truth, it takes up a whole lot of crap just trying to figure out the taxes on a bottle of water. So I just give it away. I want everybody to stay hydrated.
That's awesome. And then
I'm liking this guy more and more.
well, and you never know. I mean, there's a lot of traffic
Right.
on 109,
Right.
in from the park and out of the park, and you might have a family pool in there that isn't prepared, but they go, hey, we want to get on a
That'd
river.
be my family,
And guess
normally.
what? They've got their water, they're ready to roll, and you set them up and take off.
Now, if you are showing up, you might as well plan on everything that you've got is liable to get wet. There's that chance.
Yes.
So, dress accordingly. Most people do. There's some people that come out and, I haven't turned a boat over on the Tradewater ever. But it seems like every day somebody turns their boat over and liable to lose their phone or something like that. But I've got some dry boxes too that you can, or you just secure your stuff and, you'll be all right.
What is that this is the number one thing, and we're gonna take a break here for just a second. I'm gonna give him a question that let him think about the answer for a minute. With a lot of people getting out and hitting the trails and going on kayaking and things like that, is there some just kind of some general safety guidelines if they're not going on guided trips? If they are doing it on their own, some of the things they need to remember, because some of us, we're not good at directions. And things can happen and the boat can flip over. And when we come back, I want you to give us some of those, here in just a minute, because that's something that
right.
I think, especially with you being the river guide and a river guru, that you could help us out with. I think we could all use that this morning. 8:36 with Tess and Ty. We'll be back in just a second with Coffee Talk on 103.3 WPKY. Well, sunshine today, and it's peeking through those clouds even earlier than expected already with a high around 88. Mostly clear tonight, low around 67. Tomorrow, sunshine, high 90 with sunshine lasting all weekend. Highs in the lower 90s. No rain in the forecast, believe it or not, until Tuesday, and that's just a small chance. And then that chance of showers and thunderstorms again for the 4th of July, high around 88. 74 at 1580, 103.3 WPKY. And of course, we're live with Tess and Ty and Coffee Talk this morning with Mr. Hank from the Tradewater Canoe and Kayak, and he's helping us out trying to get everything figured out on where I'm going to fall out of the kayak at. But we're gonna have a good time,
right when you
and
start.
it's gonna happen, I bet you. But see, that's the half the fun of it, you know. When you go out with the family, it's fun, it's adventure. You know, you're going down think about when they go back to school. After so, would you do? Well, let me tell you what I did on summer vacation. I took a trip down the Tradewater River in a canoe or a kayak. That's exciting and that's adventure, and that's something that you can help them out with. But if they do venture out on their own, is there some safety tips that you can kind of pass along that it could save somebody's life? You know, what do they do if they tip over? What do they do if they get lost? You know, those things can happen, right?
Getting lost is going to be actually fairly difficult. If you stay in the river, it's only going in one direction. But as far as safety goes, first, wear your life jacket. Wear a personal flotation device. Second, know the river. Know the river conditions that you're getting on. Tradewater Canoe and Kayak, I usually know the river conditions beforehand. But it's 5 miles up in the Pennyrile Forest, and it's just kind of like this week. We've had winds upwards of 60 mile an hour, so there's liable to be a tree down in the river somewhere. Normally I go down and I can tell you the river conditions pretty much to a T. Well, I'll probably go down sometime this afternoon before I open up this weekend, and just in
to make
case
sure.
I need to get a tree out of the river or, get a hole through it, I'll do that. But know the river conditions. A tree down, if the water is moving, can be very dangerous. If you see it, just go ahead and pull off. Just err on the side of caution. What it is, you know how a strainer works. If you strain your spaghetti,
Right.
Water goes through, everything solid kind of sticks. That's what a down tree can be like in the river. It's sitting there, it's straining the water, and especially if the water is moving really fast, it's going to pull you into it, and you're going to stick right there.
Oh, I never thought about it that way. That's a great way to look at that.
Oh, well, thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
It's actually a professional term. We call them strainers.
Strainers.
But there's that. And then if you're going out by yourself, let somebody know where you're going.
That's a biggie.
And, don't get on a river if you don't know the conditions. Go, well, that looks like fun. I'll just park my car down there and then I'll pull up here. Well, you don't know what you're going to get into. Know the conditions of the river before you take off.
Now, when you talked a little bit about a while ago when you were saying, if it does tip over, your cell phone goes in, maybe that's your lifeline and your 911 button. Is there anything that, when you talked about a box, is that something that, maybe a waterproof box, that sort of thing, put it in a bag? I mean, how do they, it's because it would be a good thing, especially if you're by yourself, if you have some type of way of communication, correct?
Yeah, well, yeah, I usually I carry a floating dry box. It's orange. You can get them at Walmart. You can get them at Dick's. You can get them at Academy Sports. Cell phone goes in it, and if you do tip over, it's going to take off floating, and it's going to be orange. You're going to see it. Now, also, you asked me like 2 or 3 questions, so
sorry.
I'm going to try to hit them one at a time. First off, if you turn your boat over, don't panic. Okay, you're in the water. You might be able to touch the bottom. You might not. You don't have far to go. Just pull over to the bank. Hold on to your paddle. It really stinks to have your kayak back and not have a paddle for it. Hold on to your paddle. Get over to the bank. Retrieve your boat. Flip it back over. Get back in it and continue your trip. Don't panic. I mean, just I'm planning on being in the water, whether I'm in the water or not.
Right.
I'm dressed for it.
But that's
So,
why you have on the life vest as well, right?
it is. It is.
How deep is the Tradewater in its deepest spot and then the shallowest part?
Well, back up behind the mill dam, that trip usually averages about 8 to 9 feet up through the course of it. Now, on the 5-mile trip where I put you in, normally you're looking at 2 to 3 foot of water because it's very much, you've grown up in Farmersville, you know
Right.
there's time you can walk across the Tradewater really easy.
Of course.
And it's the
So
same
if you're an
thing
adult,
up
you're gonna
above
be
it.
on the you're gonna be standing up if you roll over in 2 or 3 feet of water.
Yeah, but as I said, just a couple of days ago, the water was up 6 foot over normal.
Right.
So
And that was in my front yard. Well, and what if, you just said storms. What if you're out there and we have in the middle of summer, sometimes they can be unpredictable. What happens if a storm comes up and we're caught out on the river?
well, the Tradewater, a flash flood, the water's not going to come up like it is, out in the Southwest, where all of a sudden you can be out there and next thing you know, the water's up 3 or 4 foot. Tradewater's it comes up gradually enough that you're going to realize it. For one, and the Tradewater, actually, if the water does come up, it basically means you ain't going to have to paddle as much. The water's going to just take you, and you're going to
Hey.
be able to enjoy yourself maybe just a little bit more if the water's up. I actually like it when it's up a couple of foot.
Oh, that's, you had talked a few minutes ago, too, about the canopy and how the shaded, the almost rainforest-like canopy down the Tradewater and how pretty that is. And, that would be, really cool and refreshing to do.
Well, I tell you what, my favorite part of the whole river, other than my upper 5-mile trip, there's a trip where you put in what we call the baptism pole on Shelley Pole Road, and it goes into Awney. And there's a bluff line going into Awney I call a Nice Bluff. And it runs for roughly well over a half mile, and it's a sheer cliff, about 30 to 40 foot, sheer drop off into the river, and it is gorgeous whenever you catch it right. It's just very picturesque. You don't even realize you're in western Kentucky when you're looking at it.
Well, remind us of your phone number and where you're at and kind of your hours and that sort of thing. I want to make sure that they don't forget that.
Well, you can find us on Facebook, Tradewater Canoe and Kayak. It's a group. There's also a page. My phone number is 270-871-9475. That's 270-871-9475. And if I don't get back in touch with you, immediately, because as I said, I do work, as soon as I get to where I can check my messages and stuff, I'm pretty good at getting a hold of people because I don't want any of that money running through my fingers.
I will say he gets back to you real fast. I had talked to him and called him, and he called me right back. So, and remind us you've got special hours this week next week due to being a holiday week, right?
Yeah, we're going to try to stay open by appointment. We're going to try to keep somebody down there every day next week. You mentioned it may rain Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Could rain us out, but we're going to try to stay open all week, 9 o'clock in the morning to 5 in the afternoon. Just call ahead and let us know. Now, it's also a good idea to call sometimes during the week because a lot of my business, I have church groups going down and Boy Scout troops and stuff like that where they could rent, upwards of half of my boats for a day. And I'll let you know if I've got the capacity to put you all down. And, you get a Boy Scout troop or a church group, and then you get 2 groups of 6 or 7 people. And believe it or not, I started out with 8 boats and a pickup truck, and I always wondered if I'd even rent all of them. And now I've got I think 34 boats and a couple of old beat-up vehicles that we travel, ferry people back and forth. And believe it or not, there's days I wonder if I've got enough boats. So it's kind of weird.
Problem to have, huh?
Yeah, who knew that it was going to take off like that?
Well, you know, if you're somebody like me, you really look forward to something like that. So we sure do appreciate you and the work that you do in the community as well. And of course, the fitness test is, and what's that date again, in August?
It's August 30th,
Well, we sure do appreciate you being here.
8 a.m.
8 a.m. Woo!
You can show up day of race and register just fine. If you need a kayak, just call ahead. But if you've got your bicycle, you just show up. You're ready to go. As I said, if you need a kayak, I haven't never run out of boats. I usually can beg, borrow, or steal. Pennyrile State Park is really good about letting me borrow their boats that day for the race. Also, they and I try to return the favor whenever they have the moonlight. When there's a full moon, Pennyrile Park does a full moon canoe and kayak tour out there. You know, and.
I don't know. Me and Bigfoot, I'm not sure if I'm kind of, I don't know that I'm that brave.
I haven't seen any Bigfoot tracks, but I can say that there's an awful lot of wildlife.
Ton of wildlife out there.
You'll see. You may not see the beavers, but you'll see their sign. All kinds of deer. We have otters. A lot of people don't know that there's otters in western Kentucky. They're here. I've seen them. Otters ain't scared of you. They'll swim right up to your boat.
Almost playful, aren't they?
Yeah. They'll try to stay with you. Maybe a snake, but
no, don't tell me that.
But
I like to live in denial. Are you kidding me?
the Tradewater River got muddy banks, and you can go up and you can see everything that's come down and got a drink of water that day. So you see dog and coyote tracks. You also see big cat tracks.
Yes.
Now, I don't think that they're panthers or anything like that, but there are some awful big bobcats in there.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate everything. And thank you for being here, because I think it's going to be really neat, and it's something that I'm going to bring my family to.
One more thing that you may not know is just about every 10 miles anymore on the Tradewater, there is a nesting pair of eagles.
Really?
And that's new. That's something that I've not seen before. Also, some of the biggest blue herring rookeries in the southeast United States are located on the Tradewater River.
Isn't that something?
There's one right outside of Dawson. There's another right down below Dalton. And the biggest one, they say, in the southeast United States is one right below Clay. And you'll pull under them. They've got these huge nests right up in the sycamore trees, right up under the river. And you'll pull up and just make a little bit of noise, and they kind of look like pterodactyls all taking off, because they're slow.
So you can spook them and they'll take off.
Yeah, they're slow moving and huge wingspans. I mean, it's a gorgeous sight.
Something to see.
Well, the people that watch us later will see my mouth hanging on the floor.
Yeah.
He had me at otter.
Nature lovers, outdoor enthusiasts, hikers, and photographers.
People that like to take natural photography. That would be beautiful.
It sounds like a paradise.
Yep. And the kayak fishing has really taken off here lately, too.
Yes. So Hank Mills of Tradewater Canoe and Kayak, and we're certainly appreciative of you being here, and, again, your work in the community. Thank you, sir.
All right, I appreciate it.
Well, he'll have to come back and see us, because, he's going to see me, but he's going to have to come back and see us before your exercise and fitness challenge there, and let us know how that's going, and we can check in with him. It's 8:55 with Tess and Ty, Coffee Talk 103.3 WPKY. Hang on just a second, because we're going to check in with the Caldwell County Animal Shelter and Mr. Charlie at WPKY. Well, sunshine this morning and this afternoon, evidently. High around 88, mostly clear tonight. Low 67, tomorrow's sunshine again. High 90, with that sunshine lasting all weekend and highs in the lower 90s. Your outlook for the 4th of July, still touch and go with a chance of showers and thunderstorms, otherwise high near 88. And again, for today, a few clouds this morning, but nothing but sunshine the rest of the day. By afternoon, especially high 88. It's 74 at 103.3 WPKY. $1580 103.3 WPKY, and Tess and Ty and Coffee Talk and Charlie Cotton. That's who's here this morning. Good morning, young man.
Good morning.
Morning,
From
Charlie.
the Caldwell County Animal Shelter. Y'all are doing, I saw Little Rascal found a home.
Yes, he did. Uh-huh.
He's our former pet of the week.
That's
Bless his
right.
little
Rascal
heart.
found a home.
I like hearing, good, warm, and fuzzy stories where they find their home. And I heard Freddie found a home too, right?
Freddie
Absolutely. He
found
went
a
to a
home.
good home on Tuesday, I think it was.
We've had some good luck this
Yeah,
week.
we
Bless
have,
their
uh-huh.
hearts.
We've had a good week.
Well, who else have you got out there this week? Have you got anybody new this week that...
Well, who we're featuring today is, and I didn't have help this morning, so I couldn't bring him. But anyway, we're featuring Bear today.
Bear.
Bear, and we think maybe it's his litter mate's sister. We don't actually know. They came to a home here in town or whatever. The lady kept them a few days trying to find an owner because they're really nice dogs. We think they're lab and shepherd mix or whatever. They look a lot like a lab, and they have the tan yellowish color. Solid, both of them do. Bear is a male, Sissy's a female. Bear's probably about 70 pounds, Sissy about 60
Wow.
or whatever. They're pretty good sized dogs, but real docile and just easy to get along with. They get along well with other dogs. Haven't been tested with cats, but with dogs they get along great with everyone I've tested them with. So, and they just seem to love everyone that comes to the shelter.
Now, are they going to be indoor or outdoor dogs?
Well, I'll put it to you like this. So far, they've not used their kennels. That's a sign they're possibly housebroken, but they are fine for either one.
No, I think that's wonderful.
Big dogs like that, need a place to roam. So actually, it'd be better if they had a fenced yard or even maybe in the country.
Out in the country somewhere.
But I do believe they're housebroken because they don't use their kennel.
Well, now the phone number 365-1000 if you want any information about them. And now is Lily still there as well?
Lily went to a foster for a few days, but she's coming back today, I think, because some people are coming from Glasgow, Kentucky, to see her this weekend.
Oh, I
So
hope Lily goes
about
there.
adopting
I
her.
know,
A
that's
wonderful
great.
home. She was so sweet.
She is.
Yeah.
She's a sweet dog. She
Well,
sure
now
is.
who else have we got? Charlie Brown, is he still out there?
Let's see here. Yes, Charlie Brown's still there. Charlie Brown was pretty thin when he got there. He's
Right.
picking up
You're-
weight.
you're
though.
pumping him up.
And yeah, I'm filling him up, and so he's doing much better.
Now, it's
Yeah.
going to be a little bit before he's available, right? I mean, you need him good and healthy.
It's a few more days. Yeah.
But he could use some attaboys and some petting and some volunteering and
right.
some walks.
I hear he's quite a
Absolutely.
clown.
Oh.
That Charlie Brown.
Never
Now,
gets
if there
old,
any of
does
the other
Sorry.
any of our other school students happen to be out there listening, we have that Charlie Brown sounds like a joke, doesn't it? But I have a good friend here in Princeton named Charlie
Yeah.
Brown.
Oh, yeah. There's some Charlie Browns out there.
Something really. But anyway, we have a young lady that's in Beta Club, and she's coming out volunteering and walking dogs or whatever for points or something. However they do
It's
that
a
for
good
Beta
way.
for community play. So we can take others. We just have the one, but if you're in that kind of program, come and out and visit with us.
I think that's so
National
neat.
Honor Society, Beta Club, those.
Well,
they
you know,
do
for
things.
these kids that are in high school as well, that looks awfully good on college applications that you have been volunteering at the local animal
right,
shelter.
you took time out to do something for somebody else or for an animal.
That's right. That looks awfully good on college applications. I'm bribing them. I don't care.
Also for radio personalities.
That's right. It's great. Hey, I tell you, I enjoy that every week. Is seeing these pups and seeing where they go. I mean, I love that. I love when we get a congratulations update on these animals because they are so sweet.
It's
And then
nice to see them find homes.
We've had like 4 this week, I think, returned to owners that came in like over the weekend. Whatever, that's always good. That's always good. So watch Pet Finder Facebook or whatever if you're looking for your pet, because we may have it.
Well, and listen to WPKY every morning. We do we feature the lost and found pets every morning, and we also feature a couple of the ones that are waiting to find new homes out at the Caldwell County Animal Shelter. So make sure that you listen to that, and that happens every morning during the 7 o'clock hour. So here with Tess and Ty, thank you for coming out,
Well, you're just
Mr.
welcome.
Charlie Cotton.
Thank you for the time.
Thank
we
you,
look
Charlie, for
forward
what
to
you do.
seeing you every week. And of course, the Caldwell County Animal Shelter, give us your hours.
Okay, we're there from 10 to 4 on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. We're closed on Wednesday and Sunday, and Saturday the hours are 10 to 2.
And so for all the kids that are going to run out there and walk all these dogs, tell us where you're at.
Okay, we're at 489 Baker Hill Road.
Can you take any donations of any kind out there?
Of course we can.
Well,
yeah.
Of what kind? Are you looking for
Whether she's-
needing some things?
Well, okay, right now I think we're okay, but there's always a need for paper towels at the animal shelter.
Well, that's
is,
hey,
is one of
everybody.
the things. Right now I think we have enough pads and everything for beds, but paper towels is a big thing. Bring a bag of dog food by, a box of treats. They love treats. We give them a lot of treats, so that's something we can usually use also as treats.
Let's fill them up, y'all.
There
Come
you
on.
go.
Caldwell County, let's fill them up. 9:04 with Caldwell County Animal Shelter. Tess and Ty and WPKY. Of course, stick around. We're going to have your full WPKY forecast, Weather Edge Weather Center forecast for the weekend, and a little bit of an outlook for 4th of July. We're also going to have your full news and Sports Edge updates, and of course, Miss Audrey Lamb will be here with that. So stick around. Tess and Ty, 103.3 WPKY.